This NASCAR Cup Series Championship Race Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome into the slowest news day of the year in America. Nothing going on today, but it is the day that everybody's been waiting for in the entire country. It is time to reveal our NASCAR championship race picks. Nothing else matters, and that is what we are here to do. Just kidding. Hi, Cody. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. This is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Yeah, buddy. I mean, this is it. This is the last Cup Pick show of the season, man. How sad is this?
Is it the last Cup Pick show of the season, Ron? Because we're going to be back with Cup Series picks for the 2025 championship. We're going to be back with Daytona 500 early odds picks. We're going to be back with a lot of stuff all off season. Some shows take the season off, whatever. They go play golf, do whatever. We're going to be here talking NASCAR all off season. So last one of the season of the year picking Cup Series race, but we're going to have plenty of stuff in the off season, so we're not going anywhere, Rod.
We are not
you
going.
Can't vote us out.
Well, okay, hold on. Let's hold that thought until we get done with our meeting with the bosses. We haven't been renewed officially yet. True. Let's cross our fingers. I want you guys to make a big push at Gambling Podcast.
Unless they tell us otherwise.
Yeah, well, but you know what? Look, that's fine. We still soldier on. We still can go and produce content the great way. Boji Joe checking in saying, let's go green. Green for money. Andrew's talking about Tyler Reddick Day. This almost was the name of the episode.
Happy
Cody.
Tyler Reddick Day. Yes, Rod. I would appreciate if you would actually read the document and properly call the race what it is named.
Well, you know what? I wanted to do that, but SEO probably wouldn't pick up on Tyler Reddick Day very much. Laura's saying good afternoon. She can't believe it. And then this is a blue collar show. I mean, listen, man, the second we start making millions off of this, first of all, I'll forget who each of you are and say, no, I'm just kidding. I would not. And we're not making millions off of this.
I don't think either of those things are happening, actually, Rod. I don't think we're making millions or forgetting who these people are. But
no, never.
I did create the doc this week, and I called it the Tyler Reddick Championship Race. So I just wanted to welcome you all to the Tyler Reddick Championship Race and congratulate our 2024 champion, Tyler Reddick. But don't go anywhere because there's plenty of other picks to be talked about.
Very, very plenty of picks to talk about. This is, of course, the championship race. We are at Phoenix, the Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, Arizona. So set for some fun times ahead. All three series are in action. Of course, this is the Cup show, but we will talk trucks. We will talk Xfinity later on down the road. And then we'll give you our DFS picks to end the week. But before we do, let's tell you that college basketball is back. And if you aren't ready, subscribe to the College Experience for their daily picks and podcasts breaking it all down. You love college basketball. You love Kobe Dant. You love all those guys over there. Is Kobe the host of the? I haven't listened to their basketball show because I have time. But I do know that the whole network's got great shows. And I know that the College Experience, especially with Colby and football, is great. So, the college. I know Money Mac is part of that as well. So have some fun over there with them. And then, of course, thanks for tuning into this show each and every week. This season that you've been a part of this show has been a fantastic week. Look, we have come a long way from episode 1. to episode 536, and it just couldn't have happened without all of you guys. So if you could continue to toss those 5-star reviews our ways, we're seeing those numbers tick up. You guys are answering the call, and we thank you very much for that. So keep it up. That'll go a long way in renewing the season for yet another go around next year. And so do that. Only you can prevent corporate gambling from taking over. 5 stars. 5 stars will do it, my friends.
Your vote counts, Rod. Get it in for us.
Your vote counts.
Yes. College Experience, by the way, hosted by Colby Dant, Moneyline Mac, and Noah Beanick. So check that out there. They're a great show, and unfortunately, Nebraska is not good at college basketball. So we have women's volleyball, though, Rod, number 1 in the country. So we got that going for us.
Boom shakalaka. Yeah. You know what? I don't have like Pacific is the university that's local to us. So, and they're pretty good at basketball. So I guess I could follow them for that if for nothing else. But
there you go.
All right, Cody, it is, like we said, the NASCAR championship race. Today we crown a champion, but of course, it doesn't have to be the person that wins the race. We have the 4 guys vying for it, and the person that finishes higher out of the 4 wins the championship. And more often than not, Cody, we've seen it be the race winner, except for last year.
One singular time, right? Ross Chastain won the race last season. So I think that is important. Is throughout the history of this specific format, the one race at the end, whether it's been Homestead, whether it's been Phoenix, the champion has always won the race until last season when Chastain did it. Now, Blaney finished second to him, could have probably passed him had he wanted to, but there was no reason to do it. So he just stayed behind him and finished second and wrapped it up. But when you're placing these bets, there are championship bets still out there to make, right? So you can bet on who's going to win the championship, which isn't necessarily winning the race if it ends up being like last year. And if it ends up being like Anthony says, and I might be on the same track as Anthony later in the show, a pissed off Bell waxes the field again. So, again, bet how you want to. Make sure you're also paying attention because this is called the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Race. So if you want to bet on the championship, make sure you bet on the actual championship. If you want to bet on the race, bet on the one that says championship race. Could be a little confusing. But also James Rowland, our buddy, checking in. Gluck and Bianchi 2024, a ticket I think we could all get behind for sure.
I forgot to write that in. That was the one that I did not write in when at my ballot. So apologize to Gluck and Bianchi. I know that you guys would have had a great administration, but unfortunately, it's probably not this year. Maybe
80K. If you're listening, we need some Photoshop skills. Get us I tweeted out that Cowboys one earlier. That shout out to our buddy Chiefs for sending that over in the Discord. But it was like it showed the ballot and then just had the other box and it was checked that said Cowboys suck as the option. So we need one that says Bianchi and or Gluck and Bianchi. So help us out.
2028. Let's do the 2028. So that way it's not 2024.
We still got time to get it in today, Rod.
This is true. This is very true. There's polls have not closed yet, so I think we're good to go on that one. Or if you're listening to this on Wednesday, sorry, it's too late for that. Now we'll start 2028 campaign.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
it's never too early to get stuff. I mean, we might as well just start sending text messages and have phone calls tomorrow for 2028 anyways, right?
Oh my God, please no. I put on my Facebook, I put happy no political ads day. That was, and then yet I'm still getting texts. Like last minute texts that
are not going to stop until this is actually all over. But
tell me where my polling place was. They're like, we know you're sitting in your office right now on your phone scrolling with your laptop open. So go to your poll. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, get out of my head. But anyway,
they're always watching us, Rod.
Always watching us, and we're always watching NASCAR, which we are set for the 2024 Cup Series Championship. Like I said, from the Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, Arizona, set for 312 laps, 500 kilometers around this 1 mile paved track for 312 miles. Like I said, 500 kilometers for those of you who celebrate kilometers out there. Yeah, I mean, look, this is it, man. We know that this race is the second on the track in the season, but we always know that this one's a little different because there's always a lot more at stake, obviously. And these championship 4 drivers, more often than not, barring any sort of calamity, are the 4 that are going to be racing around the front.
Yes, that's been the thing in the past, but I think we have an interesting championship 4 this year because, you kind of set out at the beginning of the season and you think, well, Larson and Hamlin and And, those guys didn't make it. And then it's like, well, Bell is pretty good. Like, he didn't make it. You've got sort of an interesting group of guys. So I think that is interesting. But
but can't you say that about every year, though? Like, there's going to be people that miss out that you
yes,
think.
well, yeah, I mean, Harvick 10 wins, right? And then he doesn't make it. There is a lot of that each and every year. But yes, the cream does tend to rise to the top. I think that all four of these guys are going to show up pretty good. And I think they're all in pretty good situations. You look at Penske, they've been really good here, obviously. They've won the last 2 championships. They've been good here. You look at Reddick, and he's got the entire Toyota camp behind him. You look at Byron, and he's got the entire Hendrick camp behind him. So I think everybody kind of has positives going into this. As far as betting on the entire race, which we're about to get into, I did mention this in the Discord, but I think this is one of the hardest races of the season to handicap for a number of reasons. There are certain, like, this is it, right? We've gone through the slug of a season, 37 races if you count the Clash and the All-Star race, right? And we're finally here at the very end of all of this. And so some people have a lot to race for as far as the championship goes. Maybe they're looking for a ride, whatever the deal is. There's still battles going on for 5th place in the championship and everything else. Some people are already 1 foot into the fishing hole or Cabo or wherever they're going Sunday evening as soon as the race is over for vacation, right? So it's sort of hard to kind of navigate through all of that. And that makes it tricky, but also fun at the same time. So I'm excited to look at it.
Feel like it's almost like the last day of a deployment, right? Where you're about to go home, all of the hard work is over and you have to put in 1 full day of work. It's just, what kind of a person are you? Are you the person that goes out and continues to put in that hard work, or your person's like, I go home tomorrow, I don't even have to worry about any of this anymore. I'm just going to lift my hand, lift my foot. Like, what effort are you willing to put in?
It's funny because if you look back through, there are definitely drivers like Tyler Reddick specifically, who I've been on all season as the championship winner, right? And I'm going to talk about him later in the show. He's not been good here in the fall, but is that because he's never made the Final Four before? So it's like, is he just bad here in the fall, or is he not good here because he's already in vacation mode? And so, things to weigh out and everything, but a lot of fun to do it, Rod. Entry list, we do have 40 entries, a full Cup Series field for this race. Casgral is back in the 15. Derek Kraus making an appearance in the 16. JJ Yaley is in the 44. Chad Fincham in the 66. Jimmy Johnson. Don't tell Rod anybody. Jimmy Johnson in the 84 car. Oh, he's going to get his Jimmy Johnson diecast. I guarantee it. And then late addition to the program, Rod, the number 50 car, Jeb Burton is going to be making a start in the Cup Series. He's got his Jimmy Johnson doll. There you go, showing it off.
Doll, action figure. He's got the Kung Fu grip. Do we not see? Oh,
okay. Sorry. That's
Jimmy, I'm sorry. It's not.
Looks like a doll to me, but yes. So the 50 car that Jeb Burton is in, that is formerly the Money Mayweather team. The Money Team Racing is what it was called. Now it's Team Amerivet. So whether that car is going to be any good, probably not. But he is entered. So there is that.
Well, you know that all my money is going on a Jimmy Johnson win this week. So we're just gonna, if you don't see me next week, exactly.
That's all in on your Jimmy Johnson stuff, Rod. Don't worry, guys. I vetted the doc. I told Rod beforehand we couldn't be having Jimmy Johnson bets in here. So no promises. I'll keep him off the DFS show, but he's at least not in the betting episode.
I just hope whatever Home Depot I land behind has free Wi-Fi so I can continue to do this show after I lose all my money and my home betting Jimmy Johnson as a top 10 car this week. All right. No, bet responsibly, folks. Just don't do that to yourself. But
yeah, one more thing too, right quick. TK was saying the biggest question he has is what happens to the team orders, and does the punishment, if any, prevent additional interference in this week's race? Couple of things on that. We don't have punishments, at least as of now. I would imagine it's going to take NASCAR another day. So Wednesday, we'll probably have that. We'll talk about it on the Xfinity show tomorrow if those do come down. But we've seen it in this race before. I mean, Blaney played wingman to Logano 2 years ago. The truck race last year, was it Hocevar or Heim, or one of the two of them got super pissed off and just took the other one out, killed their chances to win. Like, crazy shit could happen in this race. And if it comes down to strategy, well, I hope you fucking bet on Joey Logano, because we all know how that's gonna go. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting race for sure.
Oh, I have something to say about Joey Logano later in the race, or later in the show, and later in the race, I guess. But yeah, let's start talking racing, shall we? Let's do that. But first, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Speaking of racing, Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. It's NFL, it's college football, it's college basketball, it's MMA, NBA, NASCAR, Formula One, so much more. You can use all your specials and boosts now on all your flexed entries. And we're going to give you a ton of our favorites as we break down the Underdog slate and the DFS slate, as we always do later on in the week. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, though, sign up with the promo code RACESGPN for your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. Do not worry, Laura. I am not going to be betting Jimmy Johnson. I'm not going to be saying Jimmy Johnson's name. I'm not going to ever bring up Jimmy Johnson again until Jimmy Johnson decides to be Jimmy Johnson again and drive a Jimmy Johnson type car and do Jimmy Johnson type things. So no more Jimmy Johnson talk on this Jimmy Johnson episode of this Jimmy Johnson show.
I mean, this could be called the Jimmy Johnson race, right? 7-time champion. So shout out to him. But yeah, Daytona 500, I think it would be fine to bet on him there, Rod, because it's a plate track. So it'll be a different story when we get back to there, assuming he's racing in it. Brian checking in. Brian Twining. What's up, guys? So sad last race. Mm-hmm. Hey, Brian. It is sad. But Rod and I were talking about this offline. I think it was yesterday. Like, yes, the offseason is coming up, but there is so much stuff to talk about. It's almost like this is the offseason because it's so short in NASCAR, which is great, right? It's going to be like a chance for us to catch up on everything that's happened. It's going to make the offseason go super quick. We're going to be at Daytona before you know it. So like that. Also, he says, if it's anyone's week, this is our last chance to have a Marty party. 40-1 at Superbook if you're out there in Nevada. We might be talking about Martin Truex a little bit on the show today for one final ride. Brian, stay tuned. All right, Rod, ready to get into the bets?
I am, but I do want to say that there's a lot of car numbers to acquaint you with between now and the next part of the season. So just, prepare for that. I'm just
this was the silliest of silly seasons. I mean, really, like driver changes and swaps and charters, and yeah, it's crazy. So we've plenty of off-season content. But Rod, to the task at hand, let's start off with our shitbox special of the week. Oof, R.I.P. Kyle Busch. He is in the shitbox special of the week, Rod. Group E over on Caesars. I'm going to take Ryan Preece in this one, plus 320. It's Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez. So this for me is mostly just Ryan Preece has shown up lately. He's looked pretty good. We've seen it the last couple of weeks. And he's been decent at this track. Of course, so Phoenix, if you don't know, short, flat track, right? It's a mile, so some people, I know Junior doesn't like calling a mile a short track, but it is a short track. I think the New Hampshire is the closest comparison. You could definitely take some things from Martinsville last week. There's other short tracks throughout the year that you can look at as well. But Ryan Preece is the guy for me in this group. You're getting a great number at plus 320. He cashed the group bet for us pretty easily last week. 23rd here in the spring, but 14th, 12th in the last couple of races before that as well. 14th place at Martinsville last week, 10th at Miami the week before. So last two races, been running well. Things are going good, right? We don't have official Preece plans for next year. The assumption he's going to be in the third RFK car. That charter seems to be coming from Rick Ware. We don't know all the details yet, but likely, although Door Bumper Clear dropped a hint yesterday about the fourth Joe Gibbs car in Xfinity, and he mentioned texting Elliott Sadler about it, and Sadler saying, wow, that guy's a great modified driver and something else. To me, that immediately said Ryan Preece back to JGR, where he's raced before in Xfinity to race for a championship. That is something I could get behind and would be very excited about. So maybe that's the case. Maybe they're finalizing that deal, whatever. I do think he's going to show up because he doesn't really have a reason to let up and just kind of go away. Looking back at some of the other stuff he's done, Bristol, a short track, 7th place. Short tracks are where he shows up. New Hampshire, short, flat track, most comparable track, in my opinion. 11th place finish there. 9th at Martinsville in the spring. I like that. Kyle Busch last 2 weeks, 28th, 31st. Things are just not going well for Kyle Busch lately. You hate to see it, but that's kind of how it is. Austin Cindric scares me a little because he finished 4th last week. He also won a Gateway. He's been fairly decent on some of the shorter tracks. 19th at New Hampshire is not great, though. 23rd at Martinsville, 36th here in the spring, so it wasn't great. Kyle Busch, by the way, 22nd here in the spring, so not very good either. Did beat Priest by 1 spot, so you can give him that if you want to. Suarez, 23rd, 16th in the last 2 races, so again, not really running great here to end the season. 18th at Bristol, 21st in New Hampshire, 22nd at Martinsville in the first race, was 13th here in the spring, so good run by Suarez there, but Priest, I think, has all the momentum. He's at a great number. You're getting him. He's one of the longer shots in this group. It might have been the longest shot. I'd have to go back and look, but plus 320 is a very good number. For a guy that's been pretty solid here lately, short, flat guy, give me Ryan Preece and Stuart Haas, their final race of ever, I guess, Rod. So, yeah, give me Ryan Preece at plus 320 for Group E over on Caesars.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, he got us the job done last week, so why not do it again and run it back? And you're right, this is it. So you talk about storylines in this race. I mean, this is one of the many, many stories. It's MJT's last MTJ's last race ever. Stuart Haas's last go around as that one.
Last race ever, not
okay.
Last race as a full-time driver. Yes.
Yeah, that's what we'll go with that. So, yeah, a lot of storylines to follow in this one. Not the least.
Real quick. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that.
You had a good transition. I interrupted. But
no,
Joe going back to what does silly season mean? So silly season is what NASCAR's silly season is referred to, I guess. But silly season is the changing of teams and everything. And so silly season starts early, right? McDowell was like, April, where he announced he's going to go to the 7 car next year. So basically the changes during the season are what they refer to as silly season. So all of the moves as far as, Haley's going to Spire and McDowell to Spire and the third 2311 car and Rodney Childers going to Spire, a lot of Spire stuff in here. Wherever Corey LaJoy lands, you got Truck Series guys moving up to Xfinity Series guys moving up to Cup. All of that encompassing is what is known as silly season. And so, yeah, it's been a very busy silly season and maybe even a silly season, you could say, Rod. But yeah, we've got a lot of that to talk about in the off season.
Yes, we do. And by the way, the etymology of that word or that phrase comes from the Brits. They actually, silly season was what they designated that lull between when Parliament was making laws and when they were off. And so essentially they were like that. They called it silly season when there was very silly stories and news that didn't have much to do with anything, rather than, it was just there for fluff. So essentially all of the Entertainment Tonight stuff just stretched out over an entire few months, stories that mean nothing, Kardashian stories. I mean, absolutely nothing to anybody except for the ones that need some kind of news to latch onto. So that's what silly season came from.
Was a British history lesson on election day, Rod. Jesus Christ. What are we doing here?
This is what I voted for. All right. Speaking of silly season, we're going to be talking a lot about the following drivers over the course of the next few months, because it's going to be Kyle Larson, it's going to be Denny Hamlin. And I'm taking them in a head-to-head. Larson over Hamlin. That's what I'm actually going to do. Larson over Hamlin, minus 120. I wanted to take Hamlin over Larson because this is one of those ones where you know that it's going to come down to these two. And we talk about it a lot. The bookmakers tend to group these guys together, and then you see it play out on the track by 1 or 2 positions. But this one always plays out by 1 or 2 positions for the most part. So, but I'm taking Hamlin over Larson. If you look back at Hamlin's last finishes on this track in particular, all right, on 11th place in the spring, he did start on the pole. So you're like, oh, great, but he finished 11th, 8th place, 23rd, 8th place, 13th, going back to the spring of 2022. Flip that around on Larson. He had a bad finish in the spring. He finished in 14th, but before that, 3rd, 4th, 9th, a 34th. That's a bad finish there, but 1st, 7th, 4th, 4th, 6th, 3rd. Like, Larson's been good on this track. I know he's not going for a championship this year. I know he's not in the mix, but really neither is Denny. And so these guys are just going to be racing to try to help their teammates, but not on the radio. They're not going to say that they're helping their teammates because there's no way on God's green earth you could do that. But yeah, that their whole day is dedicated to helping their particular drivers, where Hamlin's kind of torn. Does he help 2311? Does he help the Gibbs?
23? Well, Gibbs didn't make the championship race.
Oh, that's right. Bell
got
does he get revenge?
He's helping Hamlin.
Does he help
he's helping Reddick, rather.
Yeah, exactly. See in my head, I'm still seeing Bell as in there. That's what happens. But no, anyways, overall, look, Denny Hamlin, when you look at his short track history, actually pretty damn good if you're kind of looking through it all, or his intermediate track history, I suppose. 24th at New Hampshire earlier, 2nd at Gateway, he won at Dover. Like I said, 11th at Phoenix last year, 8th at Phoenix 11th at Phoenix in spring, 8th at Phoenix in the fall of last year, 7th, 2nd, 5th. But for Kyle Larson, same type of thing. 4th at New Hampshire earlier this season, 10th at Gateway, 2nd at Dover, 14th at Phoenix, 3rd at Phoenix, 3rd at New Hampshire, 4th at Gateway. This is going to come down to just, honestly, who is going to be around at the front when it's all said and done. If you look at the speed rankings, I mean, again, they're all sort of right around there. Denny Hamlin comes in as the 4th fastest car on Phoenix and total speed rankings in the spring. And then Kyle Larson kind of fell right in there. But Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, NASCAR speed to date total speed rankings at conventional tracks, according to iFantasy Race. Denny Hamlin 1, Kyle Larson 2. But again, if you just look across the board, it's just, I have a feeling that Kyle Larson is going to be get into less trouble than Denny Hamlin over the course of this race. So give me Larson over Hamlin minus 120.
Larson likes to find trouble, Rod, so I'd be careful with that. But Denny's also got a lot of distractions going on. His car's racing for the championship. There's a whole lawsuit going on and everything as well. So yeah, I'm not picking sides on this, but hey, whichever side you want to go with is good for me. John Little saying vote Zeeb and Roddy V 2024. Well, John, Rod and I had talked about this. We discussed running. Unfortunately, I'm actually not old enough to be the president. But 2028, I will be old enough to be qualified to be the president. So I do like that you put me first on the ticket. We haven't decided yet who's going to be top of the ticket. But,
it's you. It's you. There's no way on God's green earth that this guy's going to win anything, man.
There we go. Okay.
You've got it all. Yeah. I just want to be the guy behind the guy.
Zeeb Villagomez, 2028. Make sure you come back and vote for us by then.
Yeah, like I said, I want zero power with all of the power. Like, that's all. I want you to take all the blame for my decisions. That's what I want. Just like in real life.
Hey, the backup quarterback has the best job in the world, Rod. So
I would be the happiest holder on the entire
nobody hates the backup guy. So there you go.
Nah, and everybody wants the backup guy. That's what it is. I'm telling you right now, people laugh when I say that. But if you paid me $500,000 to carry around a clipboard and pat somebody on the ass for 16 weeks out of the year,
this is a great idea, John. Remind us in about 3 years, and we'll print these shirts for our 28 season, and we can have NASCAR Gambling Podcast, Zeeb Villagomez 2028 shirts for sure.
I think that would be a fantastic idea. No, there's a midterm election, so maybe we just figure something out there too. All right, let's get to more of our bets. But before we do, I've got to tell you about Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that provides bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me. Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also add a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Now you can track props in the Rhythm app, and Rhythm just launched their college basketball models. I went to Rhythm hoping to find answers to Cade Otton's receiving yards last night. Rhythm said, by all means, take the over, please. Backed me up on that. And guess what? Cade Otton, hell of a day, hit the over. Unfortunately, the Bucs fell victim to a false start in the Chiefs. But whatever. I mean, my Rhythm bet hit. Your guys' would too if you were using it. So claim your 7-day free trial today. But go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We're also brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. Easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. U.S. players, you are welcome. Come on aboard. And we're giving you tons of BetUS bets that we like. We'll give you some even in this show, so hang tight for those. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Use promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. Indeed, my friend. Kate Otten. I just wish that the defense would not have scored the first touchdown on that one because that kind of screwed me over a little bit.
Did defense score the first touchdown?
That was the other night, wasn't it?
I don't think that was last night.
Thursday
last night was, who was it? Oh, it was who was it? I don't know. I don't remember.
That's a good question.
That's in the past, Rod. We're focused on the future.
Okay, well, give us another bet.
In the future, it's MTJ time, baby. Martin Truex Jr. top 10 plus 125. Give it to me, Rod. I don't know if you've seen his car. It's a beautiful, beautiful tribute scheme to his days that, if you don't know, he started at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, DEI. He's in the 1 car over there before switching to the 8 once Dale Jr. left. So, yeah, throwing it back to that car with his Bass Pro Shops car this week. It's a beautiful thing. Martin Truex Jr., Rod, don't forget, he is the short, flat track king. Well, maybe he's been dethroned for Christopher Bell these days, but he is still the, what is it, like King Emeritus or something? Is that what you are when you're not really anymore, but you used to be? So we're going to give him that crown. Anyways, 7th place here in the spring, 6th place last fall. He's been top 10 in 5 of the last 8 here. Pretty good run for him. Now, Rod, in the last 24 races this season, he's only got 4 top 10s. Doesn't spark a lot of faith and hope in him, but New Hampshire was one of those with a 9th place finish. He was also 7th place here in the spring. He was 4th place at Richmond in the first race there, so he can still get it done. Well, we have joked about him being retired and 1 foot in the pond and all of that. I do think he wants to come out. This, I think, is the opposite, right? All these, maybe not all, but a lot of drivers, I think it's like, oh, we finally made it here. Short off, right? We're going to be back in the office January 1st in the Sims doing all this stuff. For Truex, this is it. Like, we've gotten here. This is it. There's no pressure. We're not in the playoffs. Nothing. Okay, deep breath. Final race. Let's go out. Let's execute. Let's have a good day. I think we're going to get that out of Martin Truex Jr. So give me the top 10 number on him at plus 125. And then, Rod, stop what you're doing and race to bet Chase Briscoe top 10 at plus 220. If you get bet 365, I don't care if the number's shorter than this and you have to take it. Take it. Chase Briscoe top 10. Should not be this big of a number. Top 10 of 4 of the last 5 races here. He won here in March of 22 as well. Of course, in the next-gen car. 15th and 12th place the last 2 weeks, so it's not like, we're getting to the end of SHR here. Is performance going to lack? All these people have left, blah, blah, blah. They've still been running good, right? We already talked about his teammate at Priest. Been running good as well. Gregson's been running good. Josh Berry sucks, but that's a different story. Sorry, I tried to bet on Berry last week, and it didn't work out for me. But 8th place run at Bristol, 2nd in New Hampshire, 2nd place in New Hampshire, Rod. 2nd place in New Hampshire. Did I mention he was 2nd place in New Hampshire? Because that is the most comparable track. I love that. Also 9th place here in the spring. Love that as well. So give me some Chase Briscoe plus 220 for a top 10. And guess what, Rod? These 2 drivers connected together via silly season because Martin Truex Jr. is retiring, of course. Chase Briscoe is going to take his ride next season. But I am going to take both of them to finish in the top 10 in this race. Plus 125 for Truex, plus 220 for Chase Briscoe.
King Regent. That is what Martin Truex Jr. is, because he is holding the crown until the next one comes of age. So that is what we will say, that he is the King Regent.
He could be the king, and then Christopher Bell is the king elect, right? He's going to take over as the official king as of next year.
Do you really elect a king? I'm not quite sure. Oh, well.
Anyways.
All right. Now, see, we've already gone through a history lesson, and now we're going into a royalty lesson.
Oh, boy. We're getting deep on this show. Hey, it's the last Cup Series pick show of the year, Rod. We got to break it all out. That's right. Yes, correct.
Gotta love it. Nick Fortune checking in, saying good afternoon, Hot Rod and Sassy Cody. Happy Tuesday. Happy Guy Fawkes Day. Oh yeah, I think I know what that means, but
I'm not sure what that is.
My brother checking in too, talking about some jerk on the Bucks that scored first, and it was White, by the way. That's right, Rashad White of all people.
Was Rashad White? Yes.
Yeah. The one that I didn't see coming. But all right, speaking of Josh Berry and not being very good right now, I'm going to take a head-to-head on him, but I'm going to take Bubba Wallace over Josh Berry. Look, you almost just summed up the whole thing for Josh Berry, right? I mean, his average finish this season, 22.7. You got to go all the way back to, I'm still scrolling, Loudon, New Hampshire. You got to go back to New Hampshire for his last top 10 finish And that was a 3rd place finish at New Hampshire, a 7th place finish at Iowa, which, by the way, like it's, I get it. Those are actually tracks that are comparable to what we're trying to get across here. But I mean, after that, it's just been a series of unfortunate events for Josh Berry, as it's been a 26 at Nashville, which, by the way, is a track comparable to this as well. Chicago's 36, 20th at Pocono, 35th at Indianapolis. I mean, I'm not going to bore you with all the rest of them. Suffice to say that his best finish over the course of the last 2-3 months is an 11th place at Homestead the other week. So, I mean, a guy that's barely cracking the top 20 on a week-to-week basis versus Bubba Wallace, who I know that, we're not necessarily all that high on him half the time. His average finish is still 15th and a half. Look back at his finishes. He's cracking the top 20, 18th at Martinsville, 18th at Homestead, 12th at Vegas, 9th at the Roval, 9th at Talladega, 17th at Kansas, 3rd at Bristol, short track, right? 17th at the Glen, 29th in Atlanta, 16th at Darlington, 6th at Daytona. Like, all of these numbers I'm saying do not have a 20 attached to them. So I'm much more confident that Bubba Wallace is going to get it done at Phoenix more than I am about Josh Berry. Look at his past finishes here. Bubba Wallace, since joining the 23 team, 14th, 10th, 16th. They're not jumping off the page at you, but we're not picking Bubba for a top 10 car. We're just saying he needs to finish better than Josh Berry, who had a 10th place finish in the number 9 car. But, I mean, there's a lot of people that can jump in that 9 car and have a top 10 finish on this particular race. But in his first try at his own car, right, in the spring of 2024, 26th place finish earlier in the spring on this particular track. So, I mean, look, it's not one that's going to make you feel good. Name Josh Berry's pit crew chief.
It would be Roddy Childers, right? But his office is cleaned out already. He's done and checked out. He did have 47 consecutive top 10 finishes here with Kevin Harvick, and that worked really good in the spring, Rod, because it carried over to what'd you say, 23rd place finish? So
26th,
yeah, it's even worse. So not worried about that.
Me either. So I'm taking Wallace over Berry -115.
Yep, I like this. No arguments from me there. And where is he going? Boji Joe wants to know. He's going to Spire. He'll be with Justin Haley in the 7 car next year. We'll talk more about that during the offseason shows, Rod. All right, top 10 longer shots for me. I'm going to go with Michael McDowell, 8-1. Not a guy we've talked about a ton kind of going down the stretch of the season here, Rod. Also, one of the guys leaving his team at the end of silly season here. But Michael McDowell's last 3 finishes here, Rod, so he's 8-1 for a top 10. He finished 8th here in the spring. He finished 9th here last fall, and he finished 13th in the previous spring. So that's 2 top 10s in a row, 3 top 13s in a row, really close to a top 10. So you like how that goes, right? And again, you get to some of these guys, well, he's leaving this team, he's going to another team next year. How does that look? Whatever. Well, he's been top 15 in 2 of the last 3 races, so he's still had some good runs, right? It's not like he's completely checked out, just running 30th. So you don't hate that. But short tracks here recently: 11th place at Bristol, not a top 10, but close. 15th at Richmond, 15th at New Hampshire. Again, not top 10s, but in the area of top 10s, right? Well, now you got 2-3 guys who are checked out, don't finish well because don't care. Slide you up a couple spots, something else happens, and he could be up there as well. Boji Joe is also on McDowell. Well, first of all, he says, yes, McDowell, love it. But he's also on him plus 300 Group F over Dylan, Gregson, and Hocevar. I do not hate that either, especially that number. So, you could put that in there as well. But give me Michael McDowell top 8 or top 10 rather at 8-1. If you can get to top 8 at 10-1, maybe you do that too. But just kidding. Top 10, 8-1. And then, Rod, I need you to suspend a little bit of belief with me here. I'm not going out on the Jimmy Johnson ladder here, but pretty close to it. One of Jimmy Johnson's cars, actually. John Hunter Nemechek, top 10 finish at 14-1. Couple of things go into this, okay? So he was 25th there in the spring. That's obviously not really that close to a top 10, but his teammate Eric Jones, who is also at the same number, I also considered betting, but I chose the John Hunter Nemechek side. You could take both, maybe split whatever you're going to bet on Nemechek into both of them, play it, whatever the case is. But Jones had a top 10 car just legit here in the spring, so you like that. Rod, where did John Hunter Nemechek finish at New Hampshire? Well, he finished. I'll just answer the question for you. It was rhetorical. He finished in 8th place. That's a top 10 rod at the most comparable track. Again, my opinion is New Hampshire. And he finished 8th place there. So he is capable of doing it. He also has a 6th place finish at Bristol, which is a short track earlier on. I'm also in a fantasy league, Rod, where at the beginning of the season, you have to submit all your picks for the entire season. They split it into 4 segments. So essentially, you have you can pick every driver for the first half of the season, every driver for the second half of the season. Then it's all put together throughout the season. We're going into the last race. I'm in 2nd place. And for some reason, I have John Hunter Nemechek in this final race. Granted, I thought Legacy was going to be decent this year, which they haven't been. But I have John Hunter Nemechek. I need him to beat Noah Gragson by 4 spots, and I will win the championship in this league. So, for whatever reason, I decided I was going to be on John Hunter Nemechek. I have some stats to back it up. It's 14-1. We just hit Chase Purdy at this number in the Truck Series last week. We're doing it again with John Hunter Nemechek this week. And, Rod, on top of all of that, the rumor mill's been churning here lately. We think that John Hunter Nemechek's coming back to the 42 car. But what if John Hunter Nemechek doesn't come back to the 42 car? Corey Heim suddenly appears to be a front runner for potentially replacing him in the 42 car. Then John Hunter is looking for a ride once again. Show up, have a good day, get a ride for next year. John fucking Hunter Nemechek. Let's go.
I'm going to clip that out because when that hits, that's going to be the clip that we put on all of our social medias. That's 14-1 on John Hunter to get a top 10. But if it doesn't, then I will bury it and we will never see it again. And
Laura checking in says John Hunter Nemechek always wrecks. Not always. He wrecks a lot. So that's part of the issue. That's why he's 14-1 though. Maybe this is a week he doesn't wreck, Laura. You never know. You got to have a glass half full.
Or maybe this is the week Jimmy Johnson hits a top 10. Who knows? I don't care.
Probably not.
Probably not. All right. So for my next bet, I am bringing out the bow tie. I have got 2 of the Chevy drivers that are going to be inside of the top 10 by the end of the day, and that is Ross Chastain and Chase Elliott. Caesars has them together in the top 10. Plus 175 if you want both of them together. I didn't look at their individual top 10 odds because I always know that those are nuked. So I always like it when they kind of put it together.
I will say you can get Elliott at minus 125, which I looked at. Actually, I had in the document. I
saw that
out of the document because I changed my mind on it, Ron. That's not. Yeah. I know that probably doesn't help your case, but he's not been good here lately.
Well, it's all right, but I'm still thinking that at the top 10 at the very least is going to be a good run. For Ross Chastain, I mean, look, he won this thing last year, right? And that was one of the ones. He led 157 laps. This wasn't like a last lap pass. It wasn't a last 10 lap type of thing. No, he led 157 laps. He went out to prove that he should have been in the championship conversation. So he started 8th, finished in 1st, but followed that up in the spring with a solid 6th place finish. And listen, if you even want to go back farther than that, since he's been on this Trackhouse team, since he's been driving this number 1 car, he's only had 1 finish outside of the top 6 in this race. And that was in the spring of 2023, where he finished in 24th. Before that, he finished 3rd and he finished 2nd. So good finishes all around for Ross Chastain. If you look at Ross Chastain, I mean, as far as the speed rankings charts here, he's 14th in Phoenix in the total speed rankings, but he sits somewhere closer to that. He's in 15th at the conventional track. So, a respectable amount of distance outside of the top 10 to be able to get in there. Average finishes at Phoenix Raceway. He sits 3rd on the list of active drive. Well, it's actually 2nd on the list of active drivers. It's Ryan Blaney at a 4.1 finish. Kevin Harvick is right there at 6.2, but then Ross Chastain 9.9, tied with Denny Hamlin for the average race finish here since February of 2021. So, I mean, look, it's Ross Chastain. He's probably going to end up really coming out and running well because that's what he does on the last race of the season when it kind of doesn't matter for anything, and you got to love it. So I'm going to give him. He won at Kansas, right? He finished 7th at Vegas, 8th at Martinsville, 4th at the Glen, 5th at Darlington, 5th at Richmond, so another couple of shorter tracks, 10th at Loudon, right, New Hampshire. We talked about that being a comp track, 12th at Gateway, just outside of the top 10, 11th at Darlington, again, just outside of the top 10, 12th at Dover, just outside of the top 10. So he's been picking at it for a while. He's hit it a couple times. I think he's going to get there again. Chase Elliott, on the other hand, yeah, I know. if you look back at his history here, it's kind of bad. 11th, 28th, 16th, 19th over the last 4 races here. But before that, listen, you want to talk about being capable. I mean, if we're talking about John Hunter Nemechek in the top 10, we got to go back and talk about we have to talk about Chase Elliott being good here. His average finish 12.6. He's got a 5th place finish in the fall of 2021, 5th place in the spring. He won in 2020, 7th in 2020 in the spring. So there was a good stretch there where he was good. So I think he does it again. I know this is a little bit of a stretch, but he does. He's coming off of 2 top 5 finishes on the season. 3 out of his last 4 have been top 5s. And then you go back even to Kansas, 9th, 2nd at Bristol earlier, 8th in Atlanta, 9th at Richmond, 10th at Indy, 9th at Pocono, 18th at Loudon, unfortunately, but he led 41 laps to start on the pole, and that one 3rd at Iowa. So he's going to, it's Chase Elliott. He's either going to do it or he's not. So I'd rather take a chance that I'm doing it and doing it with Ross Chastain. So give me both of them in the top 10 at plus 175.
Yeah, like I said, I tried with the Chase Elliott part of it, couldn't get in, but I do love the Ross Chastain part, Rod, so much. I'm taking his top 5 at plus 275. I think you made a lot of really good points on Ross Chastain. You talk about guys that are going to quit, guys that are going to give up, guys that are looking forward to vacation. Ross Chastain is now one of those guys. Proved it last year during the championship race, and some people were even upset with the way he raced Ryan Blaney. He's racing for the championship. Get out of the way. And Ross is like, no, I'm going to win the race, and that's what he does. You mentioned it, right? His last 5 starts here, 6th, 1st, 24th, sprinkled in there, but then 3rd and 2nd. So 4 of those 5 have been inside of the top 6. 3 of the 5 have been inside of the top 5, which is inside of the top 3, even if you want to go that far, which I like. Coming off the 8th place finish at Martinsville, 5th at Richmond, 10th at New Hampshire, 11th at Iowa, kind of some similar tracks there. I like Ross Chastain this week, just like you do. And yeah, back to all the same points you just made about him. I don't think I need to add too much more. Plus 275. I think there's a good shot that he finds his way into the top 5 at the end of the day. Let's give me Ross Chastain at plus 275.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I do like that. I do kind of like laddering Chastain up because he's proven that he's capable of doing it, and he just seems to bust it out when he needs it. So I like it as well. All right, I'm going to grab my bow tie again because I'm under team orders to put it on anytime I talk about a Chevy driver, especially one that got in because of bow tie orders. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to take, honestly, the handicap on this one. I'm going to go into a little bit deeper numbers just so those of you who go, well, that's just a gut feeling. Well, yeah, it is. But I also have a little bit of stats to back it up. But I'm going to take both Byron and Reddick to finish inside of the top 5, plus 185 for this one to happen. I mean, here's the deal, guys. These guys are both championship 4 drivers, right? These guys are both racing for a championship. We've seen so many times over on most of these races where when you see the scoreboard, it's always the top 4 guys that are on the top 4 spots or the top 6 spots or somewhere flirting around with the top 5. So William Byron is going to be doing that. Tyler Reddick is going to be doing that. Obviously, we know what Cody's opinion is on Tyler Reddick as far as how far he can go. He's going to have to finish in the top 5 if he wants to win this race. If he wants to win, well, obviously he's got a top 37 races, Cody? Is that where we're at? Did I finally figure out how to get NASCAR?
You have to finish in the top 5 if you're going to
win this race.
That's it. Boy, the wisdom you're getting from Rod today. First of all, we got an entire history lesson. I didn't remember what it was on, so it really obviously stuck with me. And then and then we talked about kings and parliament and some other shit. And now if you're going to win, you have to finish in the top 5. It's just the wisdom Rod is giving us today like none other.
I'm telling you right now, if I'm not here next season, look for me in the old folks' home where I'm playing Parcheesi with.
We have considered our options, and
yes.
We might be placing Rod somewhere soon.
That's all right. As long as there is a window that I can scream out of to get off my lawn, I am right there on it. So, no, listen, for Tyler Reddick, like we said, if he is going to obviously win this championship, he's going to have to be the highest finisher out of all those, and that's got to come from inside of the top 5 because you can't beat these guys if you can't be in the top 5. So, but for Tyler Reddick, it's a little bit of it's a reach on this track because his average finish here, 17.9. His best finish was a 3rd place finish that he got in the spring of 2023. He did finish in 3rd place in the spring of 2022 as well. It's been tough on fall races, right? 10th place here, or 22nd place here rather in the fall of 2023, 23rd in 2022, 19th in 2021. So, I mean, really the only handicap on this one comes from the fact that Tyler Reddick is racing for a championship, and he is going to either be in the top 5 or he's going to be on the 5. Well, I don't know. He's going to be on his shield or with it by the end of the race. This is not, if anybody's listening, this is not the episode to judge me on my host. And then for William Byron, it's the same thing, right? But William Byron has a better track record here than Tyler Reddick. He did finish 18th in the spring here, but 4th place before that. He won in the fall of 2023, and then 6th in the fall of 2020, or the spring of 2023. In the fall of 2022, he finished 6th. So at least some good finishes there in the mix. But again, just like Tyler Reddick, he'll be racing for a championship. He's going to need to be up there, and he can't win a championship. He can't be a top 5 car all day.
Speaking of drivers who are trying to win the championship, Rod, you can get the winning car number over 12.5 at, why did I think this was 11.5? God damn it. Oh, wow. Okay.
You just read what you wrote?
I just read what I wrote, and I don't like this bet as much as I used to like it.
It's
funny. Is that right, or is it 11.5? It is 12.5. God damn it. That just threw my entire, I don't even want this bet anymore. My argument was going to be, I was thinking Blaney was included. You get all 4 of the championship 4. You get Christopher Bell. Even at minus 155, I would take this, but I don't want this bet anymore at this number, Rod.
So Cody's got to get another one. Okay, fine. So here.
You go to your next bet, and I'm going to find another bet that I like. Well, I can't. Jesus, what
take mine.
Doing there?
Yeah, I'll take mine because you gave that winning car number, but I'm going to take this one. Winning car number over 21.5 at plus 190. You get the 2 of the championship drivers that I really think are going to take this, but you also look 21.5. You get 3 of the 4 championship drivers at plus 190, almost 2-1 for 3 of the 4 championship drivers, right? Obviously, you get Logano at 22, you get Byron at 24, you get Reddick at 45, and then you get a smattering of other folks, and you get Logano out there as well. Like I said Logano, didn't I? Yeah, I did. But yeah, I mean, you get all those guys over 21.5, and I don't know how you get 3 championship drivers in this one particular bet on that one. And guess what? You get Jimmy Johnson. You're not going to need him, but you also get a couple of other guys in there that, like Alex Bowman, if he accidentally wins this race. You get Ty Gibbs if Ty Gibbs gets his very first race win of the year in the most meaningless race out there for him. But listen, for me, this all boils down to the fact that you get 3 championship drivers over this number. And I don't know how you pass up 2-1 on 3 of the 4 championship drivers if one of them are going to end up winning the race.
Yeah, I like this one better than the one I was going to give out, Rod, because, God damn, I can't believe I did that. So instead, I'm turning to the chat, Rod, and I'm letting Boji Joe make my next pick for me because he tossed this one out there, and I love it. Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell to finish in the top 3, plus 450 over on Caesars. Sign me up. I'm about to tell you in a minute, but Christopher Bell is going to win this race. Tyler Reddick is going to be in the top 3 and win the championship. Probably going to finish second. I believe he mentioned you could get their Quinella at like 10-1 earlier as well. I don't hate that, but give me Bell plus Reddick top 3 plus 450. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, Bell is going to be pissed off. He's going to be driving hard. So he's probably going to end up somewhere in that vicinity, or he's going to wreck. I mean, that's kind of where these guys are at this point. You're either going to be in the top 5, in the top 3, or you're going to drive so hard and send it that you're going to end up not finishing this race. But all right. Well then, Cody, I'll go to your winners. I know we kind of went out of order, but we'll get to your winners now.
All right, Rod. It is going to be a Toyota weekend. I have 3 winners. They all drive Toyotas. And I think that's the way their weekend's going, Rod. Christopher Bell, 5-1 over on DraftKings. Get this sooner rather than later. He opened at bigger numbers. Some places he's down to plus 400. So get in on this. Christopher Bell, Rod, depending on how you look at it, got fucked out of the championship race last weekend, right? We all know how that went down. We all know what happened. Your opinion can be whatever your opinion can be, but Christopher Bell is fucking pissed off. Christopher Bell, we've used the pissed off narrative before. I don't know if there's ever been a stronger pissed off narrative than Christopher Bell. I would not be surprised, Rod, if Christopher Bell wins the pole, leads every single lap in this race, and if there's not a late caution, wins by like 15 seconds. I think he is just going to obliterate the field. He is fucking pissed off. He wants to show everybody he's the best car. He was the fastest at Phoenix. He should be the champion. If I was him, I would win the race and just pull the car into the garage. Don't even go to victory lane and just get on a plane and go home, just to be like, fuck all of you. But he probably won't do that. Also, I don't think you're allowed to do that, but that's okay. This year, according to Ryan over at iFantasy Race, the short flat tracks, Christopher Bell is the best track type total speed ranking, the best average finish at 4.2, the best average running position, and the best driver rating by a wide margin. No doubt he was the class of the field this spring at Phoenix. Short flats, that includes Phoenix, Richmond, New Hampshire, Iowa, and Gateway. Phoenix, he obviously won. He won at New Hampshire as well. He was going to win at Gateway before. What? I don't remember what happened to Bell. I know Blaney ran out of gas, but something happened to Bell right before that. And yeah, but so he was potentially going to win that race as well. But Christopher Bell, we talked about it earlier, right? Short flat king. He is the new short flat king. He is going to win this race, Rod. I'm already, if you've not been following along since last November, I've been invested in Tyler Reddick, 16-1 to win the championship. I do think that Tyler Reddick's going to win the championship. He does not have to win the race to do so, but I think he could win this race as well, Rod. Let's say Christopher Bell has an issue like he did last season. Anthony says blows an engine. Maybe he does blow an engine. Last year it was brake rotor exploded right early on in the race, took him out of things. Well, guess who the next best car last year in this race was, Rod? It was not last year, last spring, this spring. It was Tyler Reddick. Back to Ryan over at iFantasy Race outside of Bell. I would say Reddick was second best this spring. Just before that, Bell won stage 2, but had a slow pit stop, dropped him from 1st to 10th. He has been, and then total speed ranking for the championship 4, Tyler Reddick is 4th as well. So he's right up there, but he's been really good. I mentioned earlier, he seems to take, Thank you, Anthony. He had a blown engine at Gateway. That's what it was. Well, he was running down Ryan Blaney. You are correct. So appreciate you getting on with that. But Ryan Blaney, I mentioned he seems to take the fall race off here. And I think that is simply just, we're out of it. Let's get the fuck out of here, basically. But obviously he's going to have a different mentality this year because he's in here. He's been 3rd twice in the last 5 races here. And he led 68 laps in the spring. Very fast, very good. The other thing with this, so Christopher Bell has been so good on this track, right? And so good on this track type. Martin Truex has been good, and Rick has been good. Why would Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota, they just got fucked, right? But they still have an invested thought and an investment in Reddick. Why would you not just take everything from Christopher Bell's spring car and apply it to everything you already had in the 45 car in the spring and put it all together in this car? They're going to be working together. Joe Gibbs Racing will help 2311 prepare this car, and it is going to be fucking fast. It's going to be good. I think that Tyler Reddick could get this done. I think 8-1 is almost sort of a disrespectful number for as good as he's been. Regular season champion, got here, and we're disrespecting him. So give me Tyler Reddick. And then, Rod, for potentially the final time in the Cup Series, Martin Truex Jr., 22-1 on DraftKings, the best number I'm seeing. I know Brian mentioned earlier, if you're in Nevada, I believe that's the only place where Superbook still remains. 40-1, if you can get that, hell yeah. I saw 22-1 at DraftKings, as low as 16-1 in some places. So maybe get in on earlier. People are sort of getting into this, but walk-off win, why not? Been good at short flats. He's been good here. I talked about his stats earlier as well. So yeah, give me Martin Truex Jr. at 22-1 also.
Be the last time you could bet on him in Phoenix for a very long time. So I kind of feel you on that one, but I'm still not going to do it. But I really
Laura has a question for you.
Oh, yes.
Oops, that's the wrong question. What say you about Ryan Blaney?
Well, I'll tell you what I say about Ryan Blaney. I say Ryan Blaney is going to win this race at plus 350 on BetUS. That's the best number you can get. I'm actually surprised, though, that Reddick as a championship driver is at 8-1. Normally, the books tend to play those championship drivers very close to the vest. So jump in now, because I don't know that they're going to stick around that long at these numbers if they realize what they've done. But
and just to go back on 8-1 too. So Bell, the 5-1 was on DraftKings, really the only place I found that. Reddick 8-1 is like Fanatics. Caesars has it boosted. I think Hard Rock I saw as well. So it's available in multiple places depending on what your options are.
Yeah, so just look around because it does. I bet even so, like Ryan Blaney plus 350 to end up winning this race. Laura, I'm with you because if you look back at his finishes over the last several seasons, a 4th place in the fall of 2021, a 4th place in the spring of 2022, a 2nd place finish in the fall of 2022, a 2nd place finish in the spring of 2023, a 2nd place finish in the fall of 2023, and a 5th place finish in the spring of 2024. That's a lot of 2nd place finishes in a row. I'm going to call him Ryan Creed Blaney. That's what I'm going to call him. But listen, if you finish 2nd in this race, the person that beat you for the championship is going to have to win this race, right? So I still think that because he's got something going for him now, I know he finished 2nd last year and won the championship, but I think he wants to win this race and win the championship this year because that's really what it's all about. You saw him last week give every single ounce of everything he had to win that race. You don't think that he's going to try to come back and do that again on this particular track? I really 100% don't think that that's going to be, he's going to leave it all because there's nothing left. Next week is whatever he does in the off season. So all he's got to do is just focus on winning this race, or at the very least being and putting himself in position to win the race at the end of the day. So Ryan Blaney, winner of last week's race. And listen, my daughter would love another Ryan Blaney championship because Ryan Blaney is her driver. She's got a picture of him and me from the Sonoma race as her phone screensaver. And she loves to show her friends that she loves Ryan Blaney.
Rod's cropped out and it's just Ryan Blaney.
100%. Are you kidding me? Like you see my hand like around his shoulder. And
it's one of those pictures like after they break up, but she really likes the photo of herself. So just got him cropped out of it.
Yeah. And all it is just like the side of you see my glasses and that's about it. And I go, who's that? It doesn't matter. It's him. But look, if Blaney doesn't win this, I've said it from the beginning, Logano. Even year Logano, 7-1. How do you put even year Logano at 7-1? It's criminal. But here he is, 7-1. Even year Logano. Will he do it? I don't know. Do I have stats that I want to give you? No, I don't care because it's even year Logano. If you believe in the hype, if you believe in the superstition of it all, 7-1 it is exactly the number that you want to put it on. Because what if he does go out? What if Penske goes out and kills it and they run in the top 3 all day long and it's Logano, it's Blaney, it's Logano, it's Blaney. And then at the end of the race, Logano passes Blaney and he wins this race. Like that to me is the scenario that I see playing out. And so, like I said, even year Logano, like Cody's been on Reddick all year long. I reluctantly drew the even year Logano, but here I am at the end of the year with the chance to cash it. So I love that. And then last but not least, Logano does have a odds boost on Caesars. Plus 225 for a top 3. That one right there, that one makes me feel a lot more better than a Logano win. However, like I said, I'm invested in a Logano win anyway, so might as well carry it onto the show. But that Logano top 3 at plus 225, a playoff driver top 3 at plus money. The books, I feel like last year they didn't do this for us. Like they nuked the numbers and it was hard to bet.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting some pretty good options. I would like to step a step farther into the championship talk here in a second, Rod. But breaking news, no, nobody has won the presidential election. That's not that type of breaking news. NASCAR has issued penalties, Rod. No drivers were suspended, but Chastain, Dillon, and Wallace's crew chiefs, spotters, and competition directors have been suspended for the race. The teams and drivers were fined $100K each and docked 50 points. So yeah, there's that, I guess, right? So Chastain, we've made a case for him, will not have his crew chief. Dillon will not have his crew or spotter, which could be important. I mean, spotter is still important here, right? Dillon will not have his crew chief or spotter. Bubba Wallace will not have his crew chief or spotter. I know you made a case for him earlier as well. Director of competition, that means 2311's director of competition cannot be at the race, Rod, and they might win the championship with his teammate, Tyler Reddick. That is unfortunate for that. Also, Chandler Smith was fined $10K for slapping Cole Custer, as Rod says. It should say bitch slapping, but it just says slapping. Ty Majeski was also fined $12.5K for missing today's Champ 4 Media Day. Interesting there, why you would miss that. But maybe a piano fell on him on his way. Who knows? It's very possible. So, that news just came down. So, Bob Pockrass just tweeted out, so wanted to share that. But yeah, interesting, I guess.
It doesn't change how I feel about the bets because, as we know, I mean it's gonna impact them a little bit. But this is the last race of the year. If you can't drive this late in the season, then
they're gonna have backup spotters. They're gonna have crew chiefs are still gonna be able to be involved from away from the deal. Yeah, exactly. So, and none of these are actually in the championship race. Like it's not, it didn't affect Byron or Bell. It was the other teams that did the stuff. Caesar's just saying RCR will appeal the penalties also. That is interesting. So and I just see Bob Pockrass did tweet that, so thank you, Caesar, for checking in. Which will be interesting. You would assume that has to be an expedited appeal, right? So heard by Friday, I guess, because otherwise it just pushes it. And then how would that work if you push it into next year? Because like Booty Barker's not going to be Bubba's crew chief anymore. All sort of weird and interesting, I guess. So we'll see what else will come down from that. Back to the championship thing, Rod. Of course, you've got the four guys here: Blaney, Logano, Reddick, Byron. I think that all four of these guys could be crowned the champion at the end of the day. I wouldn't be surprised by any of them. Personally, Ryan Blaney's the favorite. I think that is probably correct. He's had the best car in this race the last 2 seasons. He's been really good here. He's obviously the most recent champion. Penske's done it both times in the next-gen car. So I wouldn't be surprised by that. Joey Logano, I think, I don't know, Rod. He was fast in this race 2 seasons ago, but Blaney was clearly better, stayed behind the block. Is Logano going to need strategy to come into play to win this? He's literally gotten to this point essentially based off of strategy, right? Strategy to get into the playoffs. Then he won a super speedway. Then he had strategy to get into this round. Like he had the strategy of Alex Bowman being disqualified to get into the next round. Like I feel like it would take a Logano, but then again, the big three and me, right? That's what it was in 2018, and Logano wins. So you definitely can't count him out. But Tyler Reddick, I think, is going to be very fast. I think he's going to win. I've been calling that forever. So obviously, you know how I feel on that. William Byron, is William Byron the one I'm the least scared of, Rod? And I will say, I was trying to, all these apps, you have different logins for different states. So I was trying to go back because, like, sometimes I'm in Kansas, sometimes in Iowa. I found a William Byron championship ticket that I placed back in July. So I was like, okay, this is nice. And I had a Grand Enfinger 20-1. I was like, I don't even remember making that bet, but glad to have that. Anyways, William Byron's the one I'm the least scared of. He hasn't won a race since March. That's a long time ago. And he's been solid. Obviously, he's into this race, but he's not been great. Hendrick hasn't been that good on these short flats lately. I'm the least scared of William Byron, and I feel like as the Hendrick car and as the only Chevy, you should be scared of him. But I'm just not. To me, this feels like, Rod, my opinion, obviously, Ryan Blaney and Tyler Reddick, I think, are going to be very fast, and I think they're going to be up front, probably behind Christopher Bell, but up front throughout the day. And I think that the way for Logano and Byron to win this is going to have to involve strategy, in which case default to Logano because they're just fucking good at that.
Yeah, they need to check Logano's gas tank and make sure that it's not literally the whole tire, the bottom of the car.
Yeah, it's like the steering wheel. The fuel comes up through the steering wheel and into all the pie. Like they're just hiding extra fuel in the car.
There's a lot of empty space in those cars. Like you could pack a lot of fuel in that. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Look, and for me, if we're talking championship at the end of it, I really highly think that Blaney has the momentum, the correct momentum going now, and I definitely think that. If we're going to leave it up to chance, then Logano's the good chance, which is why I picked those two as my outrights. And you're right. I think Byron, short of something miraculous, he just hasn't had the winning speed. Like he's been good, obviously, or else he wouldn't be in the championship 4, but he just hasn't had the opportunity to win. So I love that. So yeah, I mean, look at that's where we're at on that. And I think we're going to have so much fun trying to suss it all out. Make sure you hang out with us in the Discord for this race, because this is going to get very, very fun. So, all right, get out your pen and paper. Time to go over our bets for this NASCAR Cup Series Championship race. It begins with Cody giving you Ryan Preece to win Group E over on Caesars, consisting of KFB, Cindric, and Suarez. Preece is the plus 320 in that group. I'm giving you Larson over Hamlin at minus 120. Cody's giving you Martin Truex Jr. as a top 10 car for his last time around as a full-time driver at plus 125. Briscoe as well as a top 10 at plus 220. I said that Bubba Wallace would finish better than Josh Berry at minus 115. Cody gave you Michael McDowell as a top 10 car at 8-1, and John Hunter Nemechek also as a top 10 car at plus 1,400. I gave you both Chastain and Elliott to finish inside of the top 10 at plus 175. Cody gave you Ross Chastain to even finish in the top 5 at plus 275. I said that both Byron and Reddick were going to finish inside of the top 5 at plus 185. Cody said that, well, Bell and Reddick would finish in the top 3 at plus 450. Sorry, that graphic was made before Cody decided that winning car number was horrible. So don't go with that graphic. If you're listening, you don't care. If you're watching, scratch that out. But I did give you a winning car number that I'm sticking with, 21.5. I'm going to take the over on that one at plus 190. Cody said it would be a Christopher Bell revenge weekend at 5-1 on DK. Tyler Reddick can win this race and win the championship at 8-1. And Martin Truex Jr., so long, goodbye, 22-1 on DK. I said Ryan Blaney would take home the trophy at plus 350 on BetUS. Joey Logano, the even year king at plus 700. And then if you're listening, you get this Logano top 3 odds boosted at plus 225. Those of you who listen and don't just screenshot and take what we got in the end, you get that bonus one. We'll know who you are when you're touting it at the end. But yeah, those are our picks too for this championship race.
Yeah, and then the one last thing I want to say, I'm heavily invested on Reddick to win this championship, and I'm going to double down with him winning the race. But I am going to hedge. Ryan Blaney's plus 250 to win the championship. I'm already holding a little Byron too, so my biggest hedge is going to be, or not a hedge. I guess I want to say, but a little insurance play, and I guess you call it a hedge, whatever. Plus 250 on Ryan Blaney to win the championship. I am going to take some of that, which will probably leave me screwed when Joey Logano wins it all, but that's how it goes.
Nationwide is on his side. All right. Well then, Cody, all that's left is to watch this race play out. But we still have a busy week ahead of us as we got to break down trucks, Xfinity, DFS, and and then sit tonight in front of whatever media device that we want to watch and watch the big show, I suppose, as it were.
Yes, we'll probably do that, Rod. But tomorrow, back to do it again with the Xfinity Series. We'll be talking about that. Their Championship 4, it's an interesting group over there as well. That's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't seen any odds for that race yet, but I will be excited to see what they look like and break it all down for you. So, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, Rod, follow me over on the X, @Husker_Zeeb. You can find all your stuff there, and see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, everybody. We love you all. Hopefully you have a wonderful evening and you get some sleep and you wake up to a nice, crisp day in the fall and just continue to live life. Because, listen, whatever happens, we love you all and we love racing even more. So we definitely want to see you back tomorrow. So
one more thing real quick. Elton Sawyer says NASCAR discussed suspending the drivers and that it will be possible in the future.
Oh, really?
That sounds like a warning shot to me. Don't fuck up at Phoenix.
Yeah, certainly. Don't. Whatever ideas that were crossed in your mind, that's not a word to go to do it. This is just a warning. Like when mom says to me, look, if you touch that spoon's coming out. Now, granted,
if you get suspended, that's the Daytona 500.
It is. And you don't want that.
Don't fuck around at Phoenix. What that DA in Pennsylvania say? F around and find out.
F around and find out. Yeah, I want that. Don't F around in Phoenix. Let's get a shirt on that as well. But all right. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow for the Xfinity Series race. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.